Good afternoon. Here we are with Victor Lopez, who is a candidate for the New Mexico Supreme Court. Victor, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Sure, absolutely.
I am wondering what your background is somewhat, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with us.
Sure. Well, I went to school at UC Berkeley, then I graduated from UCLA School of Law, and that was back in 1983. Since then, I've practiced law for a number of years. I started my practice, or before I became a lawyer, I went to work for the Attorney General's office, and I did that for about 3.5 years. And that kept me pretty busy. I dealt with a lot of very interesting state federal issues.
Who was the AG at that time?
I was Paul Bardicke.
Okay.
One of our best AGs.
Okay.
Of course, putting aside Tom Udall.
Okay.
And then after that, I went into private practice where I had a very wide variety of experience dealing with divorce law, dealing with child support, child custody issues, personal injury cases, as well as collections, and a number of other many interesting issues that you deal with as a solo practitioner. Well, actually, not a solo practitioner. I was working with Barbara Everidge and with Alvin Cantor. And so they had a pretty wide experience. And we did some bankruptcy law, for example, some fence disputes, some property issues, fairly broad experience.
Cool.
And then I went to work for a number of years with Edward Benavides, where I did a lot of workers' compensation and personal injury work. I've also worked for the city of Albuquerque dealing with grievances and civil rights work, as well as a number of other issues. So it's a pretty broad background.
Yeah.
Another important part of my experience is that for a number of years I served as a hearing officer with the Supreme Court's disciplinary board.
Okay.
And of course, it's a very important experience because as a hearing officer, what we did is we took evidence, we swore in the accused attorney who was accused of acting unethically, and in that capacity we would go ahead and decide whether or not they were telling the truth, and if they were, we would recommend whatever action was appropriate. If they acted unethically, then we would go ahead and pursue recommendations and make those recommendations to the board. So that's a very important experience for the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court really deals with with those attorneys and decides who has acted unethically and will decide whether they should remain attorneys or whether they should be suspended or disbarred entirely. And that's a very important experience for the Supreme Court.
Yeah. You know, it's a tough race. You've got 5 people, 4 including yourself, and they're all great candidates.
Sure.
What would make you the best choice for the SCC?
Well, I think one has to do with my experience. Because one thing I didn't mention was that, of course, for the last 5 years, I've served as a workers' compensation judge. So I have a lot of good experience in that area as well. And right now, we currently don't have a judge with that kind of administrative or workers' compensation experience. So I think that's one of the things that would make me the best candidate for this. What we want on the Supreme Court is a variety of experiences, and I have that variety of experiences. But what we also need, and what the SEC really needs to consider, is who will be the most electable judge in this race. I've just come off a very hotly contested primary statewide Court of Appeals race. That's very important experience because, one, it got my name out, so people know my name. And I go out on the street at times and people will remember me from my TV ads, my radio ads, from the mailings we made. So we put over $100,000 worth of advertising throughout New Mexico in radio and TV. And so I think that's something that stands me above all the other candidates because none of them, one, have run in a statewide race. None of them have run in a judge race at a statewide level. And certainly none of them have run recently, and I have all of that. So I think I'm the most electable judge on this ballot.
Great. Good. So if you win on the 25th,
yes,
what will be your path forward, if you'd share that with us?
Well, I have a committee together. We have people who are working very diligently to help me get elected now. We have a fundraising element involved as well. We're going to be raising a lot of money. We're going to do everything that we need to do to win this race to make sure that we retain a Democrat on the Supreme Court.
Right, that's very important.
Absolutely.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Any last words?
Well, I hope that if your viewers see this, whether they're SEC members or not, that they will strongly consider supporting me and my candidacy for Supreme Court. I believe that I'm the best qualified candidate, and I will certainly work very hard and continue to work hard. I'm the only candidate that has been campaigning for the last year. Everyone else is going to start as soon as they're elected in, but I've actually been doing this for the last year. But thank you very much for your time, and thank you to your viewers for their patience.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good luck, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you very much.
Bye.